What's up, everybody? It's Kevin with Hunt Nashville, and it is the beginning of March right now, and here in the Nashville area, we are prepping for turkey season, and I'm sure you guys are as well across this great nation of ours. We got some turkey tips that are coming up, and our YouTube page, Double Trouble Hunting, has a lot of good videos for turkey season. And we are excited about daggum turkey season this year because we're going to slay some turkeys. I'm telling you. Make sure you go over to Instagram, check out Double Trouble Hunting. And also, we're posting a lot of our podcasts to YouTube, iTunes. You're on iTunes probably if you're listening to this. We're going to be on iHeart, I think, soon. This past week, Jared and I had a chance to sit down with Jared's brother-in-law, Kevin Kadish. And Kevin is a world-renowned songwriter, writing and producing for people like Jason Mraz and Stacy Rico. I'm talking all about that bass, Megan Trainor. There's a bunch of people he's worked with, and he's just a really good friend of ours, and it was good to sit down and kind of talk shop with him in the music world. So this week's podcast is more on the music side of Hunt Nashville, and next week we will for sure have more of the outdoor side of Hunt Nashville, because we're going to be sitting down with Kerry Barlow, and he's a dude that we hunt with, and he's a songwriter. But check it out. We had a really great conversation with Kevin. I learned some stuff about him that I did not know. It was really interesting. So check it out. Thanks.
We're rolling.
Okay.
Rolling.
Take two.
Hey, everybody.
Wait, this
This
is
is take no. This is original. We haven't started yet. We've just walked in the room, and we haven't been trying to figure this out for the last 10 minutes because we're professionals.
We are
And that's how we do
professionals.
things.
If you didn't know this, Kevin Kadish.
we're pros at fashion.
We're professionals. Hey guys, this is Jared with Hunt Nashville.
This is Kevin with Hunt Nashville, and you're listening to podcast number
7.
Wow, we've done 7 of these things?
I didn't know you could count that high.
Yeah. Well, I had to look it up real quick.
No, I'm a drummer. I can't count to 7.
It's all
I
audio.
can count to
so-
8.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Should I turn the AC off?
No.
That's fine.
That's fine.
We might as well be comfortable. We are here with the infamous, which is slightly less than infamous, Kevin Kadish.
I prefer unfamous.
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 Kevin, and I'm going to be totally frank here. The only reason Kevin is doing this is because he's related to me, and he felt obligated.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Kevin is, for those of you that don't know, Kevin is a songwriter and producer, and we'll get into that in a minute. He's also my brother-in-law. So he married into the South 12 years ago, whether he wanted to or not.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to.
And we brought him down.
I wanted to.
I wanted to. Is my wife going to listen to this? I wanted to. This was
Dude,
awesome.
nobody's wife is listening to this.
No, this is
My wife doesn't listen to this,
So
which is
he's-
perfect.
Kevin is the brother-in-law that calls you up and wants to use your truck and all that kind of
Exactly.
thing.
I never call him for his truck. I call Bill for his truck.
Bill's closer. They're more
You
on
call
even
his
playing field.
people.
They're both
You live too
brother-in-laws.
far.
You're entirely too
That's
far.
why he moved to Bellevue, so I wouldn't borrow his truck.
Right.
So, Kevin, let's start off at the beginning. Give me a little bit of your backstory as far as how you got into music originally.
Am I supposed to be serious? Or
No, it's whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. Do
Ben sang it,
Hey,
if that
oh,
helps.
well,
As
okay.
far back as you remember. I was born a poor black child.
Yes. Is that Dewey Roberts? Do I need a guitar to go?
Yeah.
Ben
I was in the
Burgess
7th
did.
grade.
He sang his. So. He picked up a guitar and sang.
there you go.
I was in the 7th grade.
That's when I started playing drums.
Yeah, I didn't start playing in the 7th grade. though.
Oh, okay.
I saw a kid in the cafeteria in my high school playing guitar, and he had a crowd of people around him.
Nice.
And I was like, "Where did you get that?" And he's like, "Oh, up in Mr. Henson's room, music department. He has guitar class."
Like Jim Henson?
Yes,
No.
By
Jim
the
Henson. Yes,
Jim Henson.
but that person,
We have to make this exciting.
that person sitting in the cafeteria, was Alan Powell.
Uh-huh. Which is a friend of ours that lives in Nashville.
But went to my high school in Baltimore.
Which is such a weird thing.
It's very weird.
And what does he do now?
I have no idea. I think he's an
teaches-
organic farmer or
And he
something.
teaches guitar lessons too.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
But like, so this is jumping way ahead. Kevin and Alan rehooked up at our wedding.
Right.
They had not seen each other in 20 years.
Yeah.
I think I'm being generous there.
Yeah.
And so they rehooked up and re-met, which was such a weird thing.
It's very strange to...
Yeah. It's a very small world.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, 7th grade, you saw a dude playing guitar in the cafeteria.
So in 9th grade, I signed up for class. I might have been in 8th grade when I saw him, because it was the next year is when I started. So it might have been 8th grade.
Right.
And I just started taking guitar class in school. It was my favorite class, and I remember the principal called my mom because I opted out of AP Calculus to take guitar class because there was a schedule conflict, and he's like, I'm gonna have to have a conference with you and your mom. And they brought my mom in, and he's like, what are you gonna do with guitar class growing up?
Right.
I'm like, what am I gonna do with calculus?
Right,
How did your mom
exactly.
feel about that?
She was fine. My mom was always cool with it. Like she bought me my first guitar and my second guitar. I was in high school, so I didn't have any money.
Well, and she saw right away that you had the gift, obviously, because you had the ear to play. And that's all
No,
you were doing,
I was terrible.
Or you were?
I was. But what I was a trier.
All right. Nice.
I worked really hard. I would practice 6 hours a day every day, and drive my parents crazy. I mean, there were worse things I could have been doing alone in my bedroom. You know what I mean? But I was playing guitar.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Right.
That's
So, where did that? So, you picked up a guitar, started playing. When did that lead into something that you thought maybe this is something I could do for a living?
Well, I joined a band in high school, and we would play like the spring fair at the school. And
Rock band.
It was a rock band. It was actually a Doors cover band.
Okay.
all right.
And
Was there a play on words with the title? I mean,
What was the name of the band?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I really I don't remember, honestly.
okay.
The opening doors. Or something.
No. More like the closing doors,
Right,
the
yeah.
slamming doors.
Right.
Anyway, and then I went to college at Berkeley, College of Music, for 2 years, and I didn't love it. I liked it, but I learned a lot. But I learned more from the kids in the dorms.
Right. Was it like what
More
was it
useful
about it?
stuff. I mean, I
Yeah.
learned stuff in the classroom, of theory and counterpoint and like ear training stuff. But I really learned more from the guys in the dorms, just watching them play guitar and write songs, whatever. But interesting, when I went to Berkeley, my parents took me up there for a school tour, like an orientation tour, and they said, "Hey." The people in the administration department said, "Hey, do you want to submit like a cassette for?" This is when cassettes were actually a thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you
Remember.
transferred music.
Submit a cassette for scholarship for anything, and I had this little Yamaha MT100 like 4-track, and
All right.
I would make instrumental demos with just all I had was a guitar, so everything would be played on guitar. The drums would be on guitar.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, eat that, Ed Sheeran. This was 1989, bitch.
So there's a loop pedal. You had a loop station, and you would just like overdub yourself. Yeah.
And when I wanted a backwards part, I would turn the tape upside down and record it, and then flip it back over, and it would be backwards.
Wow.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah. That's you were
Old
the
school.
original
Right.
plug-in.
Yeah, it's so much easier now.
Yeah. Just
You
literally
don't have to
load it
take
up.
the tape out,
Uh-huh.
turn it over.
Click a button that says
Dude,
reverse.
I used to ping pong. You know what ping ponging is?
Oh yeah.
It's when you take two boom boxes and you play on a tape. This is going straight to
Right.
tape. Then you push play on the boom box and play along and record with another boom box.
Oh.
And by the
And then by the-
sixth pass, it sounds awful.
I think that's what the Beatles did.
Right. They sounded a little better.
Yeah. They didn't do it on a boombox.
That was no. So anyway, so I made these recordings on my 4-track recorder, and we left for the tour, and we came back, and I had a scholarship. It was literally like an hour later, they gave me a scholarship for professional songwriting scholarship, and I was like, I didn't even know that people wrote songs as a job.
Right.
You know, I had no idea. I was like, well, everyone in this school is apparently going to be a rock star because they all play guitars. Like 900 guitar players. Baltimore's not really a music mecca kind of town. Like it's a cover band town.
Right.
Not a whole lot of great original live music, but there are a couple of really good bands that came out of Baltimore.
Seems like a lot of people are coming out now. Like even Brothers Osborne, of like John
Yeah.
and TJ came out of there.
But they're from Frederick. I think they're
Deal.
yeah, which
like
is
Frederick there.
yeah. But when I came up with in the scene in Baltimore, this is after college. Wow, I'm skipping around so much.
Totally fine.
So I went to Berkeley 2 years, and I transferred to University of Maryland,
Right.
and I joined a band in University of Maryland.
What were you going to the University of Maryland for?
Landscape architecture.
I was going to say, this is an important
really?
part of your
I didn't know
story.
that.
I had quit music
Uh-huh.
because everyone at Berkeley was a shredder, and I just was never that guy. And I thought that you had to play fast to be considered
You
to be
can't
good.
tap?
Oh, I could finger tap it. Yeah, no. So it was all right, and
Graduated from there?
I graduated from University of Maryland College Park. But before that, in my senior year, my best friend died in a car accident, and I dropped all my classes. And I was going to just drop out of college and go back to music, but my dad insisted that I have a degree, so I went to the individual studies department at the university and designed my own major and wrote a 20-page thesis on why it was a viable career. And I got it approved by the board of deans and graduated with just an extra summer session. And it was music management was my major. So I had all these business classes that I had taken at University of Maryland and all these music classes that I had taken at Berkeley. And I was just sort of like, what can I do to get out of college?
Right.
It's like
And so
music
they had
and business
never-
classes. Hey, music business.
They didn't have music business at
No,
all at this school.
it's not a
And you
major.
wrote a thesis and got.
I created the major.
Oh, that's great.
But it's an individual studies program, so it's not like an official major at the school. You know what I mean? The individual studies department is basically, it was for people who they didn't have an exact study. What's it called?
Like a curriculum? Like
Yeah, there was no curriculum for that. There was no major.
Right.
You know, they had music classes and they had a single music business class.
Right.
Okay.
But
That sounds like, because what Josh was saying, Josh Matheny, who we did a podcast with a few weeks ago, was saying that when he went to Belmont for dobro, they had no idea where to stick him, so they just put him in the strings class.
right.
So like he learned all this classical theory, which he said really helped him, but he was like, there's not a dobro program at Belmont.
Yeah, like, everybody,
Right.
like
What do we do?
Which is
Yeah.
surprising because it's in Nashville.
Exactly.
It's very
I
surprising.
think they probably do now, but at the
Yeah,
time.
they might.
And he ended up switching to music business.
Yeah, and he ended up
And he's
switching
like,
away
what
from
can
that.
I do to, to
Right.
basically get my.
Well, I didn't have that luxury. I took the one music business class, and then I took a bunch of econ classes, and I got rid of whatever my core requirements were, and I graduated a summer session late. But I had actually joined a band, and I had joined a fraternity as well, but I didn't drink, so I wasn't really an active member of the fraternity. They would use me when they would go serenade sororities. They would use me to play guitar.
All right. Yeah, right.
But I was officially in a fraternity. I just,
Right.
and a couple of the guys in my fraternity are actually still in the music business.
Oh, okay.
One guy is an agent at William Morris in L.A., and another guy is in Brooklyn. He's like an independent music promoter or something.
Oh, okay.
And there's one other guy in my fraternity that actually, I think he became a DJ. Like he was in bands, and I think he had a record deal. And,
Oh, wow.
but it was like we were the only guys who did music or liked music in the fraternity. Everyone else was just sort of like a normal guy.
Right.
Anyway, so I graduated. I was in a band in college, and my band ended up just touring around D.C., New York, North Carolina, Virginia, like basically the Mid-Atlantic East Coast. And
Did you guys get signed at all, or would?
No, we had a lot of label interest. Like we played the CMJ a bunch of times, and we actually stayed at A&R people's apartments in New York because they liked our band, and they were like, "Oh, you guys don't have a place to crash? You can crash here," And so it was. I mean, we built relationships, but the band was never really. We were good, but the songs weren't good, and it wasn't. I was just the guitar player. I wasn't even the singer. So.
Oh, okay.
Then the singer sort of went off the reservation, and he was a professional clown in his day job.
That's awesome.
So he would
like
dress
a Bozo's type the clown, or like
Icy the Clown. He would do kids parties.
That was his name?
He went
awesome.
to UDC
Clown?
Clown College. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So we lived in DC, and which is just outside of Baltimore. We lived in DC, and he went to UDC Clown College,
Wow.
and he would date all these au pairs. Like, you know what an au pair is?
I have no idea.
It's a foreign nanny. It's like
Okay.
it's like a nanny that comes on an exchange program, basically, to be a babysitter in America.
You're not making this up.
Why
No,
did I
au
make
pairs
this up?
are real,
They're
yeah.
real. But he dated this one au pair, and he was so out of touch with the law. Like, he's like, I know how we can get our band promoted, and he's like, I'm gonna bum rush President Bush and give him our demo tape. I'm like, bro, I don't think George H.W. is going to care about the band called Erection.
What was your band name?
I joined the band. I didn't make the band.
All right. It was probably his idea.
Yes,
The
and
band
we
name.
did
Yeah.
shows with this other band in DC called Adam West.
Okay.
And so the flyers would say Adam West with Erection. And if you know Adam West, he played
all right.
Batman on
All
the
right.
60s TV series. So you can just imagine Adam West in a leotard with Erection. Anyway, so Evan, he was bum rushing the president. He didn't end up doing it, but he was dating this au pair, and she was going back. She had broken up with him because she found out he cheated on her like 7 times or something. And this is before TSA.
Okay.
She was flying back to, I think she was from Sweden, with her new boyfriend, and Evan runs past security, runs onto the plane without a ticket, and starts professing his love on the airplane. Gets arrested, and that was kind of the end of the band.
Right.
That was sort of like
The end of Erection.
that was
Erection went down.
the end of the erection.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It wasn't the erection.
This
it was
is the
just
end
erection.
of the erection.
But and then so after college, I started putting bands together and like playing solo acoustic, and I opened for like Hall and Oates, Jeff Beck, Dave Matthews Band. Like I was the only guy in Baltimore really who was like competent enough on an acoustic and vocal only. Like they could call me 30 minutes before the gig and I could be there.
Right.
We need an opener.
We need an
Right.
opener.
Yeah,
We can
right.
give you $500. I'm like, well, that's more than I made last month. So yeah. So I would just be like, the promoter knew me, and so he would just call me, hey, what are you doing in 30 minutes? I'm like, I don't know. What am I doing in 30 minutes? So he's like, can you open for Hall & Oates at Pier 6? I'm like, yes, I can. So
That's awesome.
And I remember I opened for Jeff Beck once, and I got up on stage, and everyone's like looking at me like weird. And I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, I am not Jeff Beck.
Like, this guy's not on.
It was like he's got an
Right.
acoustic guitar and
Right.
there's no band. Like, I want my money back.
All right.
So that was sort of like my local beginnings. And my buddy Mitch Allen, who I grew up with, I used to carry his guitars to get into clubs. He had a band called SR-71. It was actually called Honor Among Thieves, and then they changed the name to Radio Star because every label had passed on Honor Among Thieves.
So they just changed.
They
the name.
changed the name with the same songs, and they got a record deal.
That's amazing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We should try that with King Billy.
Yeah.
So they changed the name, and they got a record deal, but then there ended up being a band in Europe called Radio Star, so they had to pick another name, so they came up with the SR-71. Mitch's dad had been in the military, and the guitar player's dad had been a pilot, I think, as well. So it worked for them on a couple levels.
Right.
And I ended up writing a couple songs with Mitch for his record. I mean, he's my oldest friend. We've known each other forever. So he got signed, and there was like a bidding war. Like, he got a 7-figure record deal, and people started sniffing around Mitch's crowd.
Okay.
And so I met Matt Serletic. He sent someone to one of my shows. I didn't meet him until later. So
And by sniffing around the crowd, you mean like checking out who wrote the songs, checking out who was in his team.
kinda
yeah,
down with.
checking
So that's
out,
where
like asking around, like what are the other good bands that play with Mitch.
Right.
And like I would always sit in with Mitch's band and like sing one song a night he had this standing gig every Monday night at the Horse You Came In On, and I would get up every night and sing a Jellyfish song with him and sing one of my songs, and it was fun. I mean, we were like kind of like if King Billy, if like the Brothers Osborne and whatever band the rest of the guys ended up being in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we did that, and I ended up getting signed to Matt Serletic. I worked with Matt for 10 years, and I wrote some songs. I didn't even know people wrote songs for a living. You know what I mean? I forgot. I mean, I had a record deal once.
Oh, you did? Somewhere in there was a record deal.
It was
in between?
after college. I was about 25. A friend of mine's dad was a radio promoter, and he heard some of my songs, and he sent them to a buddy of his named Monty Littman up in New York, who is now the head of all Universal.
Yeah.
Kind
of a big deal.
They own Republic Records. And so I was actually signed to Republic Records when I was like 25 or 26.
I didn't know who you were with.
And they ended up recording me. They stuck me in a studio with a guy named Steve Adabo, who had done like Suzanne Vega, Luca. He produced that stuff. And I was there for maybe 3 songs we did, and then I got dropped. The Seagrams bought Universal Music, and they dropped 120 out of 150 acts. So I never even got.
Dang.
I never even got. My music was never even heard by anybody. You know.
Oh, right.
So so then I moved. I was living in New York then, and since I had a record deal, I also had a day job. I was temping at BMG Special Products and basically RCA Records building in New York.
Right.
And God, I'm jumping around on this thing.
Sorry.
So I moved back to Baltimore, put a band together. The band got a lot of interest, and then they came and saw the band, and they realized that my bass player was 40 years old, and my guitar player was bald, and
not a lot of sex appeal.
My 16-year-old drummer was,
illegal.
Yeah. So I ended up just firing the band and getting a new band, and then I did another show, and all the same labels who had liked it before, like, what happened to your band?
Oh, right.
I'm like, you guys told me to get rid of the band.
Where's the guy from Rigs of Dads? Fun bass.
Where's your bass player? Did he die? No. So that didn't go so well. But then Matt signed me to a publishing deal.
Did you move out to LA after that?
I moved to LA.
We may be getting there. Give a little bit of like how that first like.
I really need a timeline chart in front of me.
How
that first like big cut happened after you got to LA, because you've told me the story before and I love the story.
Let me interject one thing. So up at this point, when you move back home, then you get turned down again by the label. This was kind of like a rough time.
I was 27 years old, living in my parents' basement.
You were like, "What the heck is going on right now?" Yeah. And so you're like, "I got to get out of here. I got to go to LA." And then what happened?
Well, I didn't say I got to get out of here, get to LA. I was in Baltimore. Like, my parents had thrown me out. I was sleeping on Mitch's couch, and for about 6 months, a friend of ours, Mickey Coachella, who's a local DJ in Baltimore and comedian, and have you met? I think you might have met Mickey.
I have met him. Yeah.
So he just let me crash on his couch for free, and like his dog slept on the couch next to me. I got pink eye from his dog. Like, it was like
fun times.
Worst life moment ever. Like, anyway, so I was just ended up signing this publishing deal to Matt, and I didn't even know that people wrote songs.
And he didn't have any other writers, did he?
No, I was.
You were like his first writer.
He had signed bands, like he signed Matchbox 20 to his label. He had signed the X's, which is Scott Stevens. He wrote a bunch of hits now for Hailstorm, and he had just produced Santana Smooth for Rob Thomas that sold like
which was kind of a big
50 million.
Right.
I think he sold 25 million albums, but maybe 50 million singles or something. Anyway, so I ended up working for him, and he moved me out to LA and bought me a little Pro Tools rig for my apartment, and I sort of learned how to He had an engineer who taught me Mark Dobson taught me how to use Pro Tools.
Which Mark lives here now.
Mark lives here now, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how to do anything.
Mm.
I didn't, you know what I mean? I had an MT400, an MT100 Yamaha 4-track.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The good old days.
And but I'll tell you what though, like I had always been into recording. Like I had ADATs.
Oh yeah.
And I had a Mackie board when I was living in my parents' place.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a band called Jimmy's Chicken Shack. I don't know if you remember a band called Jimmy's Chicken Shack. They had a big song called Do Right. It goes, what do I do? What do I do right? What do I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
From the 90s.
This is like 95 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it was mid-90s.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I basically moved into Jimmy's living room. I brought my entire studio rig to his living room and recorded the first version ever of Do Right on my ADATs. Now, if I still had an ADAT machine, I'd be able to play for it. I still have the tapes, but
All right.
they look like VHS tapes.
Yeah, they're huge.
They might actually be VHS tapes.
They're very similar. I mean, it's essentially reel to reel
Right.
inside of a box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's digital tape.
Oh, I remember. I mean, people in town were using ADAT up until like 10 years ago. I mean, it's not that. Here in Nashville, it's not that long ago that I remember people using ADAT machines.
I mean, people still
in
use
demo
radar.
studios.
They still use radar. I mean, it's interesting, but yeah. So, I mean, I don't even know where I'm going with that.
Well, when did you make the transition from artist to writer? It was right about this time in LA, or
no?
Okay.
I still wanted to be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would actually play gigs in LA. Like Jared had asked me about my first cut, so I moved out of Mitch's living room or off his couch, and I moved to LA. And my first week in LA, I get a call from Matt Serletic, and he's like, "I need you to come up to the Arista offices because I want you to meet with Willie Nelson's manager and me and one of my A&R people and play me a couple songs that maybe Willie could cut."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I've been in LA for literally 2 days. My brother's
Just
there
came off
with
the
me.
couch.
Wow.
We don't even have a bed. Like, my brother took me to get a mattress, and I had a mattress on the floor in my apartment. None of my stuff had arrived yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I take my guitar. I think I moved out there with like a suitcase, a guitar, and 2 trash bags, like full of stuff. Like literally like Tommy Boy.
Wow.
It's like when he gets off the plane.
Right, yeah.
That's my luggage. It's like a trash bag taped up. That was like my life.
Wow.
And so I get in. Is there a guitar? Can you grab an acoustic?
Which one of the 25?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So thanks. So I'm in
Right there.
Matt's office in the Arista building. Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And they're like, "Hey, can you play us some songs that like you think Willie might be able to cut?" So yeah, I'm excited about this one. I just wrote it. It's called Jailbreak. And everyone was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, he's sawing the bars in the cell. It's called Jailbreak. Like, they did not get my joke. And I'm like, all right. So I just ended up playing a song. Like,
It was crickets.
it was like literally crickets. Like, not even like dead crickets. Like, nothing. There was no sound in the room.
Oh, that's
Anyway, so like it was very funny for me, embarrassing at the same time, but I ended up getting 2 songs on the Willie Nelson record. One I wrote 100%.
That's on the Great Divide?
In the Great Divide. And another one I wrote with Matt. Actually, the one I wrote 100%, Matt came in and changed the bridge, so he got 15% of the song. But it was a complete song. It was a complete.
Who were the artists that he did those 2 songs with?
So the one that I had written 100% and brought to Matt, it was a duet with Sheryl Crow.
What was that one called?
Be There For You. And the other one was a duet with Brian McKnight, and it's called Don't Fade Away. And it's an interesting thing, like Willie Nelson. Like Kenny Aronoff was the drummer on the session, and
I Kenny's playing. Big fan.
We went to Conway Studios in LA, and Matt's like, "Can you come over to Conway?" My brother's still in town, still with me. This is the first week I'm in LA. My brother's still in town. He comes to Conway Studios with me, He sits in the lounge, and Matt's like, "Can you teach the songs to Willie's band?" I'm
Right.
like Mickey, his harp player, and
Oh, yeah.
Kenny Aronoff on drums, and I was just like, "Sure." So I taught them the song, and Kenny Aronoff is like, "Well, like the band's like spaghetti, and Willie's like the sauce. He's just everywhere. He's just like his timing's just wherever he wants to
That's
be."
a good
Like,
analogy, actually. That's really good.
so I was like, okay. So when I got the song back, I was like, oh, I see what he's talking about. But I mean, how many people can say that Willie Nelson recorded 2 of their songs?
Yeah,
So-
Yeah,
your
man, that's
first
awesome.
2.
First 2 cuts.
What was the name of the record?
Well, not the first 2, because SR-71, I had some
Right.
cuts on their record.
Okay. What was the name of that one? Of the record?
The record was The Great Divide.
yeah.
Okay. well,
I listened to
that's
that record.
killer,
I used to
dude.
listen to that record all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it because it was a big collection of songs. I mean, it was
Before you
it's like a
met me?
2-disc. Oh yeah, it was
Yeah,
like
I
a
listened
2-disc
to
like
that
big
one, too.
thing.
I
I
didn't
listened
know
to that one in
anybody
Teatro. I love that Teatro record.
I don't know that.
That's a good one too. That you didn't write on.
I didn't.
No, I'm kidding.
I haven't heard it. I didn't know anything else.
I don't listen to records that I'm the writer
Right.
on.
So,
No.
so you're in LA at this point. You've got your like what most would consider big break, even though you had some success in the
It
past.
wasn't really a big break, though. It was just like a building block. It was the record sold like 300,000 records,
Right.
and I recouped my deal at Warner Chappell through Matt. It was
which most people never do.
no, I recouped it in the first year.
Yeah,
And my
that's
publisher, Judy Stakey, at the time was like, it takes most people like 3 to 5
Got
years to
friends that
recoup.
Still haven't recouped.
And she's like, "You recouped in your first year," and I'm like, "Oh, is that good?" Like I literally didn't know that people wrote songs for a living before
Right,
this. You know what I mean? I wrote all my own songs, so I would help my friends, but
You were still an artist in your mind.
yeah. So and I was like, I played gigs in L.A. I had a band together in L.A. You know, did showcases and it was cool. It was songwriting was kind of my way of just paying the bills at the time. You know, I was so deep in debt from doing music full time. You know that I had like $60,000 in credit card debt when I got a publishing deal, and my publishing deal, my first one was like $60,000. I'm like, well, I certainly can't pay it off all now.
Right.
But-
I do have to eat next week.
but within like a year or so, I was debt free, and
That's
I
awesome.
never had another credit card debt ever in my life
Right,
because
that's
I learned my lesson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When I was sleeping on Mitch's couch, I was literally getting credit cards to pay off my other credit cards.
Right.
I was getting the credit card cash advances to pay,
Right.
and I was like, well, I have no idea what I'm doing. So
Was there a moment where, like, you remember, and this may be fast forwarding a lot, where you remember making the transfer from artist to songwriter / producer?
yeah, absolutely. Like, and it was a defining moment, and it was an A&R guy who was responsible for it. Like, okay, so I had moved to New York
Right.
at this point. When Matt became the CEO of Virgin Records, I had to, wherever he went, I had to be.
Right.
So I was probably like 30 or 31, and Mitch Allen, John Allen, who's my old drummer from Baltimore, he's
Okay.
incredible rock drummer and great showman, like twirling sticks,
Oh, yeah.
hair flips,
Right.
like he looks like a rock star, everything
All
he
right.
does. And a buddy of mine, Todd Wright, who was an incredible songwriter and like producer, and he lived in Virginia, but like it's like 45 minutes. You can get to Virginia in 45 minutes from Baltimore
Right.
or like DC. They're all like it's like a triangle, you know. And so Todd played guitar, Mitch played bass, John played drums, and I sang and played rhythm guitar, and
Right.
and it was.
Screensaver came on.
Oh, it's sorry, it's so great. So, it was. Where did we do the showcase? Oh, I bought I don't drink, so I bought like cases of beer.
All right.
We did a showcase at SIR in Manhattan. And,
Okay.
And I bought cases of beer and pizzas and.
Which SIR is a rehearsal space.
Right.
It's not
Yes.
a venue at all.
No.
No, this is
You
just a
rent
rehearsal.
it
Yeah.
by
Sometimes
the
people
hour.
do showcases.
Yeah. Because they have a
some-
sound system there and they have a
Right.
light show
Yeah.
there.
You can get a
and-
bigger room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am literally strapping on my guitar in SIR. We had just finished sound check. We're getting ready to go on stage. The A&R guys are walking in, and I have this one A&R guy that I will never forget. I don't know if I should say his name or not, but
He probably will never hear that.
he's a VP of A&R.
Uh-huh.
at a record label. He was in New York. Now he lives in L.A. And he comes up to me as I'm plugging in my guitar on stage, getting ready to do an artist showcase. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Hey, Kevin, do you have any songs for Melissa Etheridge?" And I said, I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Right.
Like, I didn't just buy you pizza.
Right. Yeah. We're not just hanging out.
I'm trying to get your open checkbook.
I'm not pitching you songs here.
Right. And that's when I was like, these people are never going to see me as more than a songwriter. I was just like, it's never going to happen.
Right.
And that was sort of like the end for me. Like that's when I stopped trying to be an artist.
That's wild.
But I also realized that you don't need to be the recording artist to be the artist in the room in a write.
Right.
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
is that a decision you had to fight with at all, or was it just pretty cut and dry? Well, I'm a writer now. Like that's all I do. Because I know like from a very different experience, but like when I decided to stop playing because having kids and touring, and I just was like, you know what, this is not the route I want to go. That was a decision I fought with a lot. And I know it's very different, completely stopping playing music in general, but just like you're like have had this dream your entire life that this is what's going to happen.
Well, here's how I look at it, and I've said this a lot of times, and to a lot of people I've talked to about this. Sometimes you have to realize who you are, and it's not always who you want to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you can't keep fighting for who you want to be. You got to, at some point, have some self-awareness that this is who you are.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
you just end up
sometimes you got to be who you are and not who you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like deep and profound. I'm just saying like it. And I remember early on playing open mic nights in Baltimore when I was first getting started. Some random guy came up to me after a show, or after an open mic, you do like 3 songs or 4 songs, and he's like, "Man, you have some amazing songs. You need to get somebody else to sing them."
Oh wow!
And I was like, "But I'm singing." And he's like, "You need to get somebody else to sing them."
Right.
And I was like, "Okay." But but that stuck with me too. Like it's the only time that ever happened to me, and I'm like, that guy's he's off his nut. You know what I mean? Like
he's just being a jerk.
Right.
Yeah, but he was right.
That's wild. Some guys came up and said,
yeah,
that's awesome.
So, and you know, like I miss doing shows. You know, I did so many shows in my life. Like getting on stage is kind of second nature for me, but I just never do it.
Right.
You know,
Well,
I do once a year at Tin Pan South. That's it.
Well, in a way, it fuels what you're doing, though, because you're in your head, you're always playing the song that you're writing on stage. And a lot of times, it seems like that would be a way to channel it.
I feel like I have a different life now. When I was performing and really like trying to be an artist, like my life was a fucking mess. Like I was not a great dude. Do you know what I mean? And I had lots of drama in my life to pull from to write songs, and now I really don't have a lot of drama to pull from to write songs. So, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a trade-off. Do you want to be happy or do you want to be drama-filled?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and did I'm assuming the production just kind of came as a natural byproduct of being a songwriter.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a quirky songwriter. I'm a quirky producer. Like, I'm not gonna ever be like Ross Copperman or like I can't do straight up the middle.
Track, right?
I can't do straight up the middle music. I just don't know how to do it.
Right.
You know, I grew up listening to the Beatles, who are not straight up the middle. Honestly, they're not.
Oh no.
Yeah,
And Jellyfish, who is like super quirky, and Queen, and like, and well, I had my phases of like Kansas and Boston and classic rock, you know,
Right.
and Elliott Smith and weird singer-songwriter shit like Richard Julian. I'm just not answering my phone. I'm just not worried about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you know the whole thing with like the Meghan Trainor record, the first record, is like I was so tired of trying to make up the middle music.
Right.
That's why I wanted to make a 50s record because I grew up. My parents would play 50s records in the house when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. That's why I wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was nobody was doing 50s music.
No,
it was for
not at
me.
all.
It was just like I got to do something so I don't lose my fucking mind. Like because sometimes trying to write songs that you think people are going to like is the worst thing you can do.
Right.
You got to write songs that you like and songs that you would listen to. And that was like that Megan record. That's what it was for me. It was like I wanted to make a 50s record 3 or 4 years before I ever met her, you know? So it is what it is. Like sometimes it just the stars align and you get that break and but that is by no stretch of the imagination a straight up the middle record. Her new records are more straight up the middle records.
Well, and your like approach to that record.
They also didn't go triple platinum. So
it wasn't that record wasn't a record to begin with. Like your approach to doing demos has led you, and you know this, and when we worked together, when I was like trying to figure out if I wanted to do production and engineering, and ended up moving away from that route, like one thing you always said that always stuck with me was like, you need to make this. The demo needs to sound like a record. It needs to sound like a record. Yeah. Like they may get used, it may not get used, but like. That's the easiest way to get your point across musically.
Well, and that's true because, and not to fault A&R people, but they need you to spell it out for them.
Right.
They just
They're generally not musicians.
Well, some of them are, or
had been musicians.
Had been and given up and loved, or they were music fans.
They just love music, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people can't hear a guitar vocal or a piano vocal unless it's like Adele singing it.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, my buddy did Somebody Like You. Is that what it is? Like?
Yeah. Keith Urban?
No, Adele.
That I was saying the Keith Urban.
Somebody
that one.
Like
Yeah,
You.
okay.
Right, yeah. So they went and they cut an entire full-blown track on that song, you know? And they called him and they were like, hey, I think we're just going to use your piano vocal. And that's what they did. That's the
record.
30 million copies of what they did the day they wrote the song.
Wow.
Just a piano and a vocal.
That's wild.
And they used that original track and everything. That's amazing.
He's a producer on it.
Yeah.
Well, I remember we were hanging out at the studio when you were
working on the bass.
Yeah, and you played it, and I was like, dude, that is so different. And I remember hearing the horns coming in.
Right.
You know, the low horns, like, that is so different. And then that whole thing of happening, we were working at your studio, I think, but I remember you clicking on YouTube and like, is this good? It just got like 100,000 views in like a day. And I was like, dude, that's really good.
Dude, I didn't know. Like, Megan and I were making that record and we're looking at YouTube and we're like, wow, we got 100,000 views.
Right, yeah.
Awesome. And then the next day we're like, we have like 500,000 views. And then the next day we're like, they're like 1.3 million views. And we're like, what the hell is happening?
Right.
Like over 1 billion.
No, we're almost at 2 billion.
It's
like 1.7 or 1.8 billion views on that song.
Off of essentially a demo making a song that you really wanted to make.
Yeah, well,
assumed like, let's make this because it's going to do well when we pitch it.
Here's the thing is like there's only in the 50s they didn't have big productions like that on songs like
that
this.
Track. I've never seen the session, but I'm sure it's super simple.
There's 6 instruments in the entire track. There's no multi-tracking.
2 people.
Yeah.
Well, there's like one guitar that only plays skanks in little spots and has the line in one spot.
Right.
There's the upright bass. That's 2 instruments. Is
that real upright or is that?
No.
I didn't think so.
Programmed it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's an organ that my buddy Dave Barron played.
Right.
This real B3.
Phenomenal.
It's a real B3. And there's a piano.
It's like a staccato piano thing.
And a Barry sax and drums. So
Right.
6 instruments. Sax, guitar, bass, drums, piano, B3. 6 instruments, and then...
Tambourine.
I don't even think there's tambourine. You know, it's interesting if you go back and listen to that song. There are no crashes in that entire song.
Oh, really? That's wild.
It's like the one headlight of the 50s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Everybody says one headlight. There are no crashes in one headlight either. I'm like...
You're not the first one to do that,
crashes,
Kevin.
Yeah. You're like, but
just
different-
interesting.
You forgot.
Dylan did it way
You forgot,
more.
though. No, I'm just kidding.
I wasn't listening to one headlight thinking about where there were crashes.
I'm just like comparing the two.
You know, I think I'm going to steal that trick.
Right. It's like, and that's like the beautiful thing about it. Some of the best music, I think a lot of the best music comes from like, let's just get together and make something, as opposed to like, you know what, we need to write a Keith Urban song and it needs to be an up tempo because he's already got 3 ballads. You know what I mean? Like, which is nothing wrong with that, and that's a lot of how Nashville works. But like some of the best stuff just comes with like I think back like The House That Built Me, like Tom Douglas writing that song. It's like one of the best songs I've heard in a long time.
Right, it's like
and
Whiskey
it's
Lullaby or something.
Yeah.
So honest,
Yeah.
like that you can't help but love that song, and it's the track is so simple. It's
Oh,
a couple of acoustics and her singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing that's interesting is like, and about what you were just talking about, like I wrote with Craig Wiseman. He's probably the most
Yeah.
successful country
Oh,
songwriter
yeah, I would say so.
in Nashville, maybe in Nashville history. Like
I think so.
as far as commercial success as a country songwriter.
Right.
And I was writing with him, and we were working on something, and I said, "Oh, this sounds like it could be for Kenny Chesney." He's like, "Stop." I'm like, "What?" Like he was like pissed, and he's not like that. You know?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Don't say that again. I don't want to write a Kenny Chesney song. I want to write a great song. I don't want to get it stuck in my head
All right.
that this has got to be for Kenny, and what can we say? We just need to write a great song. Don't think about the artist.
That's awesome.
That's
Just
great.
write a great song.
And you hear that so much from people, like even
If you tailor it for an artist and they don't cut it, it was a complete waste of time.
right.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And you're probably not going to get a phenomenal song out of it because you've got these parameters of what you're trying to do.
Well, the thing is, like, you don't know what's in these artists' heads, what they're going through in their life. You don't know. You can't write their life.
Right.
You just got to write your life, and hopefully they
Yeah.
connect to it and want to do it.
We're like,
you
why
know?
did they go to the beach on the second verse?
Like, yeah, I mean,
Why
what-
is it always about margaritas?
seriously? Are we in Mexico again?
So, what are you working on now
Well, I started this.
that you can talk about?
I started this artist development company with Nathan Chapman, who developed Taylor Swift,
Right.
and so he helped Taylor get to where she is, and I helped Megan get to where she is, and so we like, hey, we're really good at developing artists. Maybe people will want to work with us, you know. So we signed a country artist named Jake Shearer, and we signed a pop artist named Tony Ferrari. That's his actual name, Anthony Michael Ferrari.
He's very lucky.
Yeah, it's too fast for love. And then we have a deal with this girl Bryn Elliott, who's she's like a pop singer songwriter girl. She goes to Harvard, and
Oh wow.
she's really good. Her voice is really good. So we're kind of developing them. I've been working on a song for a remake of A Star Is Born for the last 3 days. We'll see if that ever happens or not. I haven't been given a whole lot of direction as to where the song goes in the movie or what the song's supposed to be about, but I've still spent 3 days on it.
Right.
Entrusted your magnificent talents
Yeah,
to find a place for it.
yeah. So I'm working on that, and I'm working with a band on Epic next month called Audio Dam, who are really good. They're really good. And
I bought a record the other day. So when I did the podcast with Ben Burgess, I was at his studio and he was playing me some stuff, and he played me a song called The Way I Talk from Morgan Wallen.
Oh, yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, that's awesome. He didn't say anything else about the record. He's just like, dude, you got to hear this song. And I listened to it and it was awesome. And so I bought the record. I'm like, I like this guy. It's a 5-song like EP. And I looked through, I saw that Joey Moya produced it. And so I was like, oh, well, Joey always does good stuff. So I'd like downloaded it, listened to it. And then as I listen to songs, if I really like one, and the songs are good, but there's 2 songs on there that really stood out to me. And I was looking through The Way I Talk, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, this Whiskey Glass, this song is really good. Like, who wrote this? And I look at the names, and it's Ben, who didn't even say anything to me about it, about writing it, and you. And I was like, it's ridiculous. It's like, I will never get used to the fact that I can listen to a really good piece of music, look at who wrote it and produced it, and be like, that's my brother-in-law, and that's one of my best friends. It's like, that will never
I
become
built that guy's
normal.
studio.
Exactly.
Right,
I just
yeah.
finished that studio. Like, that will never become normal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the thing, like, it's just music. We're not like curing cancer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we're just trying to make a good living for our families.
Yep.
Trying, it's hard,
but still doing something that you truly love to do.
Yeah,
which not everyone has the luxury of doing. So
No.
that's why it's
No,
so
yeah.
The majority of people
amazing
don't
to be
have
able to
the
do it.
luxury
Like, it's
of being
not-
that passionate about what they do.
It is not lost on me that I have been very blessed or lucky or whatever you call it. I'm no more talented than anybody else in this town. I work harder than 90% of the people in
attest
this
can
town.
attest to that.
Yeah, I would like
But-
every time we're
I
over
spent
here.
some 2 o'clock in the morning sessions with you in the studio.
But I can't say that I'm not like the world's greatest songwriter or the world's greatest producer or the world's greatest guitar player or
No, I don't think anyone was trying to say that.
No, I don't think
No,
you was.
wait.
You said that.
wait a second.
Did you say that?
Wait, I thought, we're supposed to be humble for you?
Yes. Yes. No, but I'm just saying, like if I feel more like if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome.
You just got to be willing to do the work, and if you're not willing to do the work, I don't even know why you're even doing it.
Yeah. Well, dude, you went from sleeping on a couch, and in a matter of 12 to 15 years,
To selling 50 million records.
that's
Yeah.
amazing, and that's a dream and inspiring to every songwriter and musician that's out there. You know, it's just such a
It's
cool
crazy.
story. And now you have, I mean, we're sitting in this amazing studio that you designed yourself and
No,
built.
I
Jared
didn't design
built
it myself. I
mean, but
I had
you-
a studio designer. I designed the aesthetics of it,
Yeah.
but not the sound.
Right.
You know, like the back wall. That was Ross Alexander.
Yeah.
But the front wall, that was
Which Ross,
My idea.
somebody posted a picture of, Dave posted a picture of Lenny's studio
Yeah.
in the Bahamas or Jamaica?
It's in Bahamas.
In the Bahamas, and there was a picture, and it
Eleuthera.
was this treatment in the drum booth, and I was like, that looks familiar.
It's in Eleuthera, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
And this control room is based on Lenny Kravitz's studio in Eleuthera, and the drum
Okay.
booth is based on Lenny Kravitz's studio in Eleuthera.
That's why it sounds so damn good.
Oh, it sounds
It
amazing.
sounds really good.
That's
Yeah.
one of the best sounding drum rooms. Oh, cool. Well, I really appreciate you sitting down and taking an hour out of your time to do this. I know you've been busy today working on that track, and we'll let you get back to it. Or maybe this was a good reprise from you having to work on that track this morning.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I look, the movie doesn't come out until September of 2018, so it's sort of like they want me to write a pop song for the movie. I don't know what pop music is going to sound like in 2018.
Right.
Yeah, who would
You know
have
what I
thought
mean?
that doo-wop
It
would
could
have
be
had a
James
resurgence?
Bay. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
It could be. There could be no piano or synths on the radio by then. It could be guitars only, or like
Well,
a rock band could come out and change the world, like Nirvana. You
see,
know,
but
like,
they could be looking to you to mold the sound of pop music's future.
it's not. No, I'm not. I'm just writing the song. I'm not producing it. Dave Cobb is producing it. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah, dude.
So-
Thanks for sitting down with us.
Yeah,
This is,
absolutely.
it's really cool. It's inspiring to see how everything has gone down. So, congratulations.
yeah, I was once a loser like both of you.
Yeah, exactly.
You too can be like me.
You
with
too.
a
can-
simple set.
You don't have to be a loser anymore. Work hard.
Work hard. Do what you
No.
love.
No, but yeah. I mean, I appreciate you guys having any interest in anything I do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jared has to because he's my brother.
Yeah.
I have to see him at Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff.
Well, that's twice a year.
Right.
I've got a while. I've got 7 months before I have to deal with anything.
Right. See, family birthday parties, I try to avoid them because there are kids there.
Right. Okay.
Nasty little hands.
This is going to be like the shift right now. But if we were to ever call you and say we have an opening on a deer stand with your name on it, would you go?
I'd like to hear this answer, actually. Remember, this is recorded. It will be in the world in perpetuity.
Okay, we'll say
The
this.
answer is probably not.
It's earlier season, and it's a little warmer, so you won't get too cold. You know.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm not so into killing animals unless it's my bulldog.
Right.
She pisses all over the garage.
Right.
In that case, if there was a deer stand,
Right.
or a bulldog stand in the garage,
Well, we might reach out to you because we think it would be hilarious one day to just take you out in the woods.
Why is it hilarious if I go hunting?
Because
what, am I not enough of a man?
no.
Wait, let me reword that. Am I too much of a candy ass?
Right. Well, we always see you in your element, so it'd be fun
like
outside of your element.
We've brought wood inside
with a gun. It may or may not be loaded.
It probably shouldn't be loaded.
Right.
If I'm holding a gun, it shouldn't be loaded.
Right.
Let's just be honest. I am. I'm not trained in weapons.
We can teach you our ways.
Words are my weapons.
Right. Exactly.
Ask my wife.
Okay, we can write a song about deer hunting. That's perfect.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks for listening, guys.
I'm a deer hunter. I'm a deer hunter.
Right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
So, a funny thing, while we were at Conway, I was teaching Willie's band my songs. Everyone's in the control room, and Willie's like, I'm gonna go to the bus and get some coffee. And I was just looking at Willie, and I'm sitting next to him is a coffee pot.
You look right there.
I'm
there's coffee right there.
I'm like, he's not going to get coffee.
Is that what they're calling it now?
Is that what the kids are calling it now, Willie?
They're like, that coffee smells awful green.
that coffee smells a whole lot like pot.
He's making a pot.
He's making a pot of coffee.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was funny.
Hilarious.
Only Willie.
Yeah.
I did go on his bus once later when he was touring on that record, Stars and Guitars, here in Nashville, because the songs went on a couple of records, and he played at the Ryman, and we went on his bus, and I felt like I had stepped into Marijuana Planet.
Oh yeah.
It was like the atmosphere was literally like it was ganja.
Oh yeah.
It was thick.
Dude, I got to play a show where I was playing for Andy Griggs, but Willie Nelson was the headliner.
Right.
And Waylon Jennings came out and played with us.
Oh my
and so I got to back up Waylon.
Oh my
Jennings.
gosh.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
amazing.
That's awesome.
Happened like 3 times, and I got to meet Willie and go on the bus and just hang out.
Get contact buzz.
Yeah.
I mean, I shook his hand and got a contact buzz. It just oozed through his skin.
Right.
He secretes it.
I don't know. So it's kind of like meeting
Don't
Santa
touch him.
Claus.
It's a
He
Midas.
just like twinkle in his eye, but it was the weed.
That's not a twinkle. That's marijuana.
Right.
That's the doobies.
Right.
That's hilarious.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.